What's up, guys? Welcome to another video on our Alexa skills series. This is going to be part 2 of our adventure here in creating our own custom skills. So what we're going to be looking at today is going to be the Lambda function, or basically the way of getting from the Amazon skill to a basically web-hosted kind of like relay in a way to get it back to your Raspberry Pi. Okay? Give me 1 second, guys. Excuse me. I apologize. I had to cough. Anyway, what we're going to be doing is looking at that and how to set that all up. And hopefully, in this video, we should be able to test our Alexa. Okay, so at this point, if you haven't watched the other videos on setting up your Raspberry Pi as an Alexa, setting up Home Assistant, which is the software that we're going to be using to basically act as our go-between for Alexa and the GPIO of the Raspberry Pi. So if you haven't watched those videos, I highly recommend. I'm going to start trying to put cards in. See, I think it'll be like below or up there. It's, I don't know, it's somewhere on the screen. There'll be a little eye for information, and I'm going to start using the cards feature of YouTube to put those other videos in there. So those are kind of the prerequisite to this. This is part 2 of configuring the skill, but you need to have all the other pieces configured first. So I highly recommend going and watching those videos first, configuring your Pi as an AlexaPi is what we're now calling this, as well as configuring up Home Assistant. And like I said in previous videos, this is maybe one of the multiple ways that we are going to be able to do this. I've seen others, but to me, this one isn't very laggy, and it doesn't have a lot of services to go through, and it does quite well. So anyway, moving forward. So now, at this point, if we check out our configuration.yaml file, I like saying that word. I know, I keep saying that. It's getting old. Yeah, okay. All right, so at this point, you should have your Alexa intents created. So you should have your intent created. You should have your scene created for whatever you're wanting to do. Okay, so for us, we're just doing some test LEDs. We're going to turn some LEDs on and off. It's basically basic stuff. I show you the basics, then you guys do the really cool stuff. All right. So, and then we also have our Raspberry Pi GPIO definition in here as well. Now, mine is fully restarted and fully done, so it is right ready to rock the way it is. All right. So I'm going to jump out of that. Now, next thing we have to do is we have to, you either have to host your very own HTTPS server, which Home Assistant is able to do, but then you have to get into self-signed SSL certificates and all that jazz. I'm going to leave that out for this video. I may do a it's not that I may. I will do a follow-up video that shows how to do the HTTPS hosting via the Home Assistant for this skill, because the skill has to be able to contact a server. Okay, so what we're going to do, though, for this video and for this iteration is I'm going to show you how to set up Amazon Web Services, okay? So I've got it pulled up here. It's going to be console.aws.com, okay, is the web address. And you can sign up for it. Now, confusing disclaimer, this was very confusing to me at first, and I ended up canceling the service and then realizing that I needed it back, and it was just a big mess. It will tell you, and it will actually ask for a credit card from you. Okay, and that first you kind of go, whoa, but it is a free service. Okay, they were offering at the time of this video, or the time that I was doing it, they were offering a deal of you get 12 months of their like Premier service for free, and then it drops off or whatever. Well, it wasn't really clear if it's 12 months free and then they start billing you for it, or how that works. And no. What it is you get 12 months of the full-blown package, and then it scales back to just the essential pieces that are free. And if you want the other pieces, you click on them and it'll actually give you a prompt and ask you if you want to purchase that service. And then it'll actually charge your card. So there is no way they will charge your card without letting you know. They just want that information for simplicity, so that if you click on something and it says, do you want it, you can click yes, and they already have your billing information. They just do it. So that's all that is. So don't be scared when you get into it and it says, oh, you got a free trial for a year or for, yeah, whatever. And you start going, oh, is this like an Amazon Prime thing? Because I know that with Amazon Prime, you could try it free for so many months, but then it immediately starts billing you for it unless you call up and cancel it. This is not like that. It will just drop back to only the freeware stuff, and for anything that is paid, it'll prompt you for it, and you'll actually have to pay for it. So what we're wanting to do is the Lambda. Now, I've got it under my recent deals, but if you go to Services, under Compute right here, you're going to see here, do I need to zoom in again? Let's zoom in again. Under Compute, you will see that there is the Lambda is on the bottom. Oop. I had somebody call me. I apologize, guys. I'm muting my phone. You see Lambda right here, okay? If you click Lambda, okay, it brings up the Lambda function service. Now, since I've already created this, I've got a dashboard. You will get if you don't have one already created, you will get a screen that will basically say get started or something like that, and you it'll be a blue button kind of like this, and you click the get started, and it'll fire up the maker, to be able to make this. Now, one key, and I do mean key thing, is you have to select your correct region. Otherwise, you will not be able to test it out properly. Okay, and what I mean by that is, especially if you are doing your when you create your Alexa skill, okay, and you create your skills or whatever, it will give you an ARN, which I can't remember what that stands for. I think it's Amazon reference number or Alexa reference number or something like that. But anyway, they'll give you an ARN. It usually will have what it's in the because that's how you link the web service to the Alexa skill, is through the ARN. Well, what it is right here. This took me forever to figure out. Or I'm gonna move my screen because you probably can't see this. So I'm gonna move this. I'm gonna move over to the side. Okay, so if you're looking at it now, okay, over here on the top right, see this North Virginia? That's what you want to have selected is the east, because currently, I believe the way this thing hooks up, I read some stuff in a forum post and in other places that currently, now this doesn't mean in the future, so if you're watching this video, a year from now, it might be different, but currently the testing and things like that only work on the east side for the United States. Now, I don't know if you're in another country, you may have to read up about this, play around with it, but know that if you're coming into problems where you can't test your code or you can't get it rejects, the Amazon developer portal rejects your Lambda function ARN, which I'll show you where that gets entered in and things like that, but here in just a minute. But it could be this. It could be this regional thing that you're using. Okay, so I chose North Virginia. That's what everybody chooses, basically, to make this work. I live in Kansas, so I'm actually nowhere near North Virginia, but that's the one that will allow my skill to work properly, or at least allow the developer portal to accept the ARN. Okay, so if you ever have problems with that, that's maybe what it is. If you have regional issues, that's how you change your region. The way they were saying it when I read this stuff, it looked like the change of region was in the actual the Lambda function creation. I couldn't find it anywhere, and I was getting really confused. So it's up there. It's this right here. Okay, so we're gonna move my picture back. Okay, so now we're back. And now I'm going to go ahead and click on mine. This is what it's going to look like in the beginning when you put this together, okay, when you put it together at first. So now I have blurred out the Amazon deal, but we're gonna cut and paste in. I think that's what I'll do. I'm going to grab my File Explorer. I'm going to move it over here so I can grab the correct link to all of this. Let's see. I need the Lambda function one. Yes, this is what you're going to need. Okay, and it has basically it's just all asterisks out. Let me just cut and paste this in. Oh, or make this bigger so you can see it. Okay, this is the JSON that we're going to use in our Lambda function. Okay, this will be, and I'll have this available on my code page, as well as I'll have it the link to the website that I got this off of, and I believe it was Home Assistant's. Yeah, I think it's Home Assistant's website, because Home Assistant tells you how to do this. So that's what I mean. They have great documentation. So you'll put all this together. Basically what you will do is, this is your Amazon ARN that you will eventually get from your Alexa skill. Okay, so if you haven't built the skill yet, then you won't have this ARN from the skill. Okay, so it's kind of twofold. You have to build one, and you have to build the other one. You have to you back and forth. And anyway, so you that's where you'll put that in. Then also, this is your web address of your Pi along with your password. Okay, so going back to the Pi, if we go into our YAML configuration, okay, now what you'll do is you will come down here, and as you see, there is the API password section. Okay, so I just made up a password, but under this HTTP : you're going to uncomment the API password, okay, and then you will type in your own password, whatever it is. Now, whatever that password ends up being, that's what you will type in place of this password, okay, as well as then you need your web address. Now, that's where you need either to know your outside IP address, which can be figured out from what's my IP. Type what's my IP. There it is. There's my IP address. That's my outside address for now. Okay. Because the deal is, if you're connected to cable like me, unless you've paid special money and you have special privileges, where you've got a static IP or something like that, to where your IP doesn't change, most of the time it's going to be dynamic. You're going to pull it from DHCP, which is the Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol, okay? And it's basically a pool of addresses that your ISP has, and when your router asks for IP address to be able to connect to the internet, your then ISP hands it out to you. Now, the ISP address that you get is different than your machine's IP address. Like my machine right now is probably like 192.168.1. something, okay? That's not the IP address I'm talking about. What happens, just as a brief networking lingo here, you have what's called NAT, or Network Address Translation, that's on your router, if you're running a router. Now, if you're not running a router, if you're directly connected to your modem, then whatever IP address your computer has is your address the ISP gives you. But if you're behind a router does Network Address Translation, or generally it should. So what that means is it takes the IP address that's on the inside, which is like your computer, the 192.168, whatever, yada, yada, yada. It takes that address and translates it to that one single address that your ISP gives you. Like, mine was, you can have like 54 dot something or other. It'll be a weird address. Okay. And so it translates it to that. So if you typed into that web deal, you typed in here your 192 address, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. That's on the inside of your network. You need the outside address, or the one that your ISP gives you, okay? So you can type that in here. Only problem is if that ever changes. Now, the question is, how can it ever change? Well, if it is dynamic, then that means that if for some reason you have a power outage, or, heaven forbid, your ISP has a network outage, DHCP says that if it's disconnected for a certain amount of time, that's configurable, but generally it's 10 seconds or so. If you're disconnected for 10 seconds, it'll take your IP address that it gave you and put it back into the pool. This is how it knows if a computer has been shut off and decommissioned. It's not going to keep the IP address locked up forever. It'll bring it back into the pool and then possibly hand it out to somebody else that calls for an IP. Okay, so your address may not necessarily always be the same. This is where you can employ a service, a dynamic service. DYN DNS used to do it for free, but I think they succumbed to the dark side, and now they they don't do it anymore. But there's one that is called Duck DNS. There's actually a few of these, but Duck DNS is one that is actually quite good. It is free. You can sign in with your Google or whatever, create an account, yada yada yada. But you go into here, and then basically you can put in your IP address. And what it will do is you can pick a certain domain, like you could do like bob.duckdns.com. Okay, that would be a DNS entry, a domain name server entry. Okay, so you have bob.duckdns or bob.duckdns.com would be one that you could, let's say, put in. Then you go into your router, and your router should have DYN DNS settings, or DDNS settings is what it should have, which stands for the dynamic DNS. And what it will do is DuckDNS, or one of these number of free services, will have an entry in your router. You can put in, I use DuckDNS, and my domain is bob.duckdns.com. Okay, and your router will continually keep DuckDNS, or whoever it is you use, up to date. Excuse me. We'll keep them up to date with your latest outside IP address. Pretty slick, okay? Like mine, I have an ASUS, okay, or ASUS, or however you pronounce that. But I have an ASUS router, and so ASUS offers this service free. So all you do is go into your router, you choose I want to use the ASUS, and then you type in whatever you want to type in as the name. So you can type in, I think it's asuscom.com. I think it's what it is. So you type like bob.asuscom.com and then hit OK, and then it keeps that up to date. And then all you have to do, if you're on the outside of your network, meaning if you're away from your home, if you're if you're on your phone, let's say on your 4G on your phone, or 3G, whatever it is, on your phone, you put in whatever, you can type in bob.asuscom.com, and it'll come to you. Okay, so you know what, I think I'm just going to go ahead and show you that. Let me just show you that, because it is I gotta remember my password. It is interesting. So I'm going to go to WAN and DDNS. See, I've got DDNS here. Okay, so DDNS. Okay, so I've got mine. There's that asuscom.com. Okay, and I hit apply. Okay, and then that sets it up. Now, the next thing that you have to do, okay, so this is what I was saying. This is complicated. Okay, so that basically keeps it up to date. Mine, see the server section? I've got an entire list. I can click on here, and there's a whole list of different places that can offer that service. Okay, in fact, I think I saw one that was even a Google. Did I see Google in there? No, maybe I. Oh yeah, domains.google.com. I think that one's free, if I remember right. So anyway, so you just set it up with your router, and your router will constantly keep your IP address up to date with that, to where that new domain down here will always work. So now you're going to go to port forwarding. Okay, so you want to go, mine has virtual server port forwarding. You want to port forward your router. You want to port forward the port that you're going to use. So what you're going to do is you want to port forward your 8123, and you're going to put in, for the local IP, you're going to put in the IP address of your Raspberry Pi. So if you go into the Raspberry Pi, like me, and you type in if config, you're going to see the IP address that's assigned to it. Okay, so that's the IP address you want to type into your router. So you want to take port 8123, that if anybody on the outside, anybody in the internet, which is probably going to be you, accesses your Home Assistant basically off, or accesses port 8123, anything, you want all requests from 8123 to come to then the local IP address, the IP address of your Raspberry Pi. Okay, that's what you want. And then your local port, that's what it says, port range. So you can even do a range. You can do like ports 3,000 through 5,000 or something like that. But this one is specifically, so I just did one. So 8123 goes to my Raspberry Pi on 8123. So same port, because you remap ports if you wanted to. And then I say both. I want TCP and UDP protocol. Okay, add it, apply it, done. Okay, so that's all you have to do. Now, I went ahead and added also ports 443 and ports 80. I read in different places. It was also when I was trying to do the HTTPS hosting myself on the Home Assistant that you had to add those ports. I don't know. I'm pretty sure my ISP blocks port 80 from the outside coming in. A lot of ISPs do that. So yeah, I don't think port 80 is that big. In fact, I could probably remove it, but because I don't think it's helping me. My ISP doesn't forward it on the ISP side of things. You have to pay more money to get that forwarded to you. And I think it's just to avoid, your computers in your home getting hammered with stuff. Because really, if you're going to be having port 80 traffic come to your home, you really should probably have a firewall, a pretty robust firewall to keep malware and bot networks and stuff off of your computer. So that's basically all you have to do on your router side of the universe. Okay, so that's how my router's set up. So anyway, so you do a dynamic DNS. You have to set up the port forward to move the port around, and then that way you should be golden to use this. Then what you would do is in here you're gonna put, like for me, our example that we're doing, you'd have like bob.acescom.com. It's what you would have in here, and then you'd have your password, your password 123 or whatever. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Oh, it's getting away from me. 123 or something like that. I don't know. Whatever password you choose. I would suggest your password to be a little bit more complicated than password 123, since this is the way people will be getting into your system. So now, that's what you have to do. And then, like I said, this ARN, you can get that from your Amazon, from the developer portal, which we will go to right now. So now we're at the developer portal, okay? And see, I've got it blurred out, but this application ID, that is what you want to use, okay? So that's what you want to use. You want to copy that application ID, okay? And that's what you're going to put in this section right here, okay? You'll put that in right there. That's the only two edits you need to make in this file. Then all you do is take this entire thing, you cut it, you paste it into here. I'm sorry, guys. I keep getting stuff like caught up in my throat. I apologize for that. But you cut and paste it into here. Now mine, I've blurred it out because I've got my stuff in here. But you'll cut and paste it directly into this code section. Okay. So you'll put that in there. That's it. Then when you'll click the next, this will all be in. When you do it for the first time, you'll have next buttons, kind of like how we did the app. You'll click next and go through it. Well, the next will be the configuration, okay? So when you get to your configuration, you'll also have the advanced stuff too. You'll get to this big, long old page of stuff. What you want to do is make sure you have node.js 4.3 chosen, okay? Because that's how it works, not the edge, the node.js.4.3, okay? Then you want handler as index.handler, that's fine. Role is, I went to choose an existing role. Now, the first time it came up, I think it didn't have this choose an existing role. It just had create custom role. So do that. Click create custom role, okay? And then just name it. I named mine Lambda Basic Execution is what I named it, okay? First time I created it. And so just do create a new role and name it that, and you should be golden. Description, I just put automated home. Fine. Memory, you want 128 megabytes. That's perfectly fine. I think that's default. Timeout, I put 10 seconds. That was the recommendation from Home Assistant, was 10 seconds, so works for me. And then everything else leave the same. VPC, no VPC, and all that stuff, and blah, blah, blah. Leave all this the same. And that's it for your configuration. Then triggers. It should already have the Alexa Skills Kit as your trigger. Okay, so that's what you want. If it's not, you'll choose the add trigger and you'll have to choose the Alexa Skills Kit. Okay, that's all you have to do. But I'm pretty sure it should just automatically do its thing. Or maybe I think that was a thing in the very beginning when you first get in here and you start to launch a Lambda function. It asks you if you want it for the Alexa, and you just say yes. But if for some reason that ever gets messed up, you want the Alexa Skills Kit. If it's not in this triggers, then you'll just click add trigger. You click the little box, and then you choose Alexa Skills Kit. Done. Hit submit, and you should see this. It'll add that trigger to it. Easy as that. Okay. And then monitoring is just so you can monitor how many times this thing gets bounced off of. and you are golden. Okay, now if you're wondering, up here in the corner there's this blurred out section. What that's going to be, I'm going to have to move again. We're going to move. Okay. Now over here, what I was covering up is the ARN. There's a number up here that is your ARN. You need to copy that. So use cut or paste or whatever, highlight it, copy it, whatever. That's the one. It'll have, like mine has US East in the name, and then it has the actual number and the other stuff and information. You need to keep that because that's what we need to use in the developer portal for the actual Amazon skill. That's how we connect the skill to this. So back in our code, remember we had to connect the Lambda function to the skill. Well, now once you copy this ARN that's up here, okay, we're going to go back to the Amazon skill. You now need to go into configuration, okay? You're going to choose the AWS Lambda ARN, okay? You're going to choose, for me, I'm in North America, so I'm choosing North America. And then in this text box down here that's kind of blurry, there's a text box there, you're going to paste that in. So that ARN that you get off the Lambda, you paste that in to that spot here and save it. And it should, if all else goes well and you have the region stuff set up properly, it should be okay. It should go in and save like it's supposed to. Okay, so that's pretty much how to do it. I kind of went through that fast, even though it took me 26 minutes to go through it. That is how you set up the Lambda function. Okay, so I put some links down in the description to help you guys out. If you have any questions, please put it down in the comments below. But this is pretty much the easiest way I found to set all this up, is you just put in the Lambda function, write in those few things, forward your router or whatever it is. If you don't have a router and you're connected just straight, you can always use the outside IP address. Just know that it can change. That when this, you can take and put your outside IP address in here. Like if I had this. Hopefully you guys see that. I don't know. Can I make? Let's see if I can. Let's make this bigger. Let's make it 18. Sorry guys. Sorry if everything's so small. Okay, this right here is the section I was talking about with the skill, and then this right here is the section that you can type your stuff in. So if you have an outside address of 64.105. Oh, hey, what happened there? I didn't want that to happen. Like .105.15.26. I don't know, something like that. Oh, it's word wrapping. That's what it's doing. I'll turn that off. I don't want it to word wrap. Okay, so you can put in your outside IP address there as well. Now you still need to make sure this port comes to you, but if you're connected directly to your modem or whatever, you're gonna have to take your Raspberry Pi and connect it directly to your modem, and then whatever IP address your modem gives it, that's what you have to type in. Okay, if you don't have a router, I highly recommend having a router, but if you don't, you still could connect the Raspberry Pi solely to the internet and still get it to work. Okay, like I said, routers are cheap anymore, so I just buy a router for $20 or something and throw it in there. And even the $20 hunk of junk routers will have the ability to do the network address translation and be able to do DNS and port forwarding. So look up in your instructions, see how to do all that, but that's what you need. The DDNS or DYN DNS, a lot of people will call it that, and then port forwarding, because you want to forward this 8123 to your Raspberry Pi. Okay. So guys, that is basically how you fire that all up together. Hope you enjoyed it. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, share. It helps out the channel so much. Helps me able to create all this content for you guys, be able to have the money to buy the hardware and pieces to create videos for you guys. So if you want all these videos keep coming, definitely support the channel. Check that out. Check out ICStation. I have an affiliate link down there. They got all kinds of cool hardware and stuff. In fact, I order a lot of stuff for this channel through them. They do great. Shipping is good. It takes a little bit to get it because I believe they ship from China, if I remember right, or something like that. But it's overseas, at least overseas for me, since I'm in North America. So definitely give them a shout. It is totally worth it. I really say it is, and they're not paying me to say this. I'm just, I'm just promoting, and everything that you do down there will help the channel too. So help me out, help you out, all that jazz. Take care, guys. We'll see you next time.